Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And technically, we are not even halfway through November, but we should have received all of the new units that would come out for this month, the 1-year anniversary. Dark 2.0 has come, and it has brought some good units and some not so great units. So we're going to update the tier lists. So our battle unit tier list, our free-to-play unit tier list, and our protector tier list is what we're going to take a look at today. And we're going to go in reverse order because it's going to take the least amount of time. So we're going to start with free-to-play Isis. I don't have any real changes to make, except I'm going to drop Dark Benimaru down to B tier. His damage is just not what you need out of a single target, and, you know, being a single target, like Isis is single target, and she's giving some very massive support, no pun intended, to her team. Benimaru is lowering defense and stun dodging. That's okay, but not top tier anymore. So, and I think probably Shinsha is more relevant on her team than Benimaru is on his team. So I'm gonna drop her down, or drop him down. I'm also contemplating bringing Aaron up into B tier because, you know, a free-to-play orange orb changer, which this new dark meta needed and technically got, but, you know, at a price. I think she has more usage since there are more than a few green teams that can benefit from her. So I'm going to move her up into B tier. And for Isis, I am going to move her into S tier. Now, that may be controversial, but hear me out. She is a better Misery. Misery has the green boost, and technically Misery increases the damage dealt by greens. Cool. But I think her boost is like 30% or something. And then her second skill is a single target heal, which can be useful in certain scenarios. Isis is a single target nuker. She has the orb change from blues to greens, which is good. And then she also has her buff for the greens, which is 40%. While it does nerf oranges, you're running her on teams that don't give a crap about oranges. So that secondary buff is not really necessary to take advantage of. So, if she's a better Misery, and she has an orb change, which is inherently more useful than a single target heal, I don't think that she belongs on the same tier. I think she belongs up in the S tier. Because she can fit on her team so well, she can fit on other teams really well, as I've proven in her showcase, and I think that she has just as much impact on her team as Geld does and Rimuru does on their teams. So that could be controversial, but I think she's good enough to put into S tier for free-to-play units, so definitely work on her. I think she's just a better Misery. Misery is just good because she fits on the space team because she's physical, and she's got that heal, which you need in that Tempered Edge stage. So there's the free unit. Let's move on to the Protector. So the new Veldora. Stacking magic attack, resetting skill costs, and raising our skill cap by 45 points, which is now the highest that we can raise it by. Because Cabby did 40. Who else does it? The Orc does 20, I think. Old Veldora does 30. So definitely the highest. Stacking magic attack, that 70% buff is insane for units that can take advantage of it. And because it's not limited to dark units, it means that any team that runs magic can take advantage. So Water 2.0 can use him. Let's see, not Space 2.0, Earth 2.0 can use him. Light 2.0 cannot. Wind 2.0 can. They're all magic damage dealers. And then, you know, those are 3 of the main teams, right? Space 2.0 can also use it. Or Space 1.0, sorry. You know, Space Millum, still fantastic nuker. Give her another 70% magic damage, and I showed you during the Veldora showcase that she can hit dumb numbers too. So he is a very versatile protector, while being limited to half of the game, because the other half are physical units, you know. But a lot of the physical teams are either too quirky for him, or they're just not good anymore. Like Fire 1.0. Or Space 2.0 just doesn't work with him because they want AoE physical. He doesn't make sense. But I think that he is very good. And the only reason that I would hold him back a little bit is because he's not an orb changer like the top tier Hakuro or Shizu, but his team is stacked with orb changers. Millam's a special converter. Isis is free blue. Aaron, you can run, who is the orange, or you have Diablo, who is the orange as well. So it's not like he's missing orb changers on his team like Earth 2.0 was. So I think that he is an S tier protector. That also could be controversial. I could see arguments that he would belong down here, but I think he is better than Cabby, better than Chloe, and better than Guy. So, and he's not a... I guess he is a stacking protector, technically. He's limited to, 70% and not infinite, but, I mean, you could put him in stacking, I guess? Which is, the kind of offshoot of in between S and A. You could. But I think he's S tier. Resetting the skill cost means that everything is going to cost the same amount if you use him correctly. It's not going to be like 100 points for one thing unless it's a skill that costs 100 points, which we don't. It's 80 for, Shinsha. But that, combined with the stacking magic damage, will enhance your team greatly, and then the skill cap means that you have enough points to do everything with all those big buffs. So I think that both the free Isis and the new Veldora are S tier units. Easy enough. Let's move on to the more difficult section, and that is the battle units. And I have, I think, a few changes to make to the existing list. Benimaru is coming down. Velzard is coming down. And I think Dark Diablo 2.0 is coming down into B tier. Still very, very good units, but as the metas progress, as the game progresses, Benimaru, we don't really use him anymore. Orb stealing is still great. He's only one of 2 units that can do it. The orange boost can be helpful, but normally Hakuro is good enough to do what he wants, especially with the charms in now that can, have oranges give extra protection gauge. That's a thing. Velzard being an orb changer and frostbite, and I don't think really makes her fit up into A tier anymore. I'm not impressed. I kind of want to move Leon down as well, because I'm just not impressed by him either. But I'll give it a few more. I'll give it another month with him. Dark Diablo 2.0 has been replaced. Hard replaced by the new Dark team. He does have his personal 80% ult boost, which is technically higher than Millam giving 70%. But his second skill, guaranteed counterattack and counter power, he's not a taunt. It's inherently not useful. They cost low, which means you can stack the new Veldora, I guess. But I'd rather have him out and an orb changer in, or Dark Valentine in, which is why she's going to be up in S tier. So if he is your DPS and you don't have the new Millam, then you can put him in there. But I would not call him an optimal unit for this new Tark team. So that, I think, is the only change. I might next month move Velzard down into A tier. She's been replaced by Hinata, and now that Hinata has been on a few banners now, her team is much better than Velzard's team. In fact, I'm just gonna move her down. That's it. Okay, and I don't think I have any other changes. Maybe you can come down as well. We're making some moves because with Valor Cup now out, I need to do a Valor tier list, but that's going to take a while. I haven't used everybody yet. Okay, let's leave that there. Now, let's go from worst to best. Diablo. I just got done recording a showcase. He's level 80. He is a physical unit in a magic meta. He is an orb changer for that team, but that's about it. He has his own attack buff. I don't understand. His Valor trait is good if you have him maxed out at level 100, and you can go turn 4 and reduce skill points. That's not going to be feasible for a lot of players. So you're going to be running him, if you did pull him, which I don't recommend you do. He's going to be level 80, and he's going to have a 6-turn trait, of which most Valor fights are over by turn 5, because you either have killed everyone or they have killed you. His power, being an AoE unit, you already have Milim, who's a single target. Rimru's an AoE. He's unnecessary for what I'm saying, because there are free-to-play options for this orb change. And his first skill is his own personal buff, which is cool and all, but I'm not trying to nuke with him on the dark team. So I don't like his design. I don't like what they did. So he's going to be in D tier until I use him more and decide otherwise, but I don't think I will. Shinsha has... I wish they had combined Shinsha and Diablo into one unit. I wish that Shinsha had the orb change from Diablo, along with her dark buff. That would have made her an infinitely better unit, but they didn't. So, Shinsha, I think, is a solid B tier unit. Because she's limited. She is single target, fine. Her dark attack takes 8 turns to stack up, which coincides with the new Veldora. Great. But Veldora buffs magic attack in general. Anybody who does magic can use it. Shinsha is buffing dark attack, which is limited to the dark team. Her second skill increases green skill point gain. Okay, so you need a team that run greens. And then it also lowers crit resistance permanently, of which you need a team that crits, which is not hard to do because you should mostly be running hero on just about every team. But if you don't have hero, if you don't have a unit that can guarantee you crits, her second skill is pretty much useless. And then if you're running a team that is not dark, her first skill is useless. So she is extremely limited to teams that run greens, teams that have crits, and a dark team. Which, I mean, if you summon on this meta, then you would have all 3 of those conditions met. But if you just pulled her because you like Shinsha, and you don't have hero, you don't have Fire Milim, then you don't have the new Rimru, no one's critting. There are other units that can do it, but... and then if they're not dark, then you're missing the entire point of her other skill, which is the highest cost in the game. 80 points. And it stacks. So I think she's B tier. On her own team, she is A tier. But for most general usage and for very generalized, just on the paper settings, B tier. Rimuru is an interesting unit because he's got the alt yoink, so you can, really screw over some people with that. And he does have that guaranteed crit. And then he also has 40% crit damage for dark units, which again is limiting, just like Shinsha is. But at least he can give someone crits, right? He's not limited to a single team for the crit. He's just limited to the crit damage. And then the alt yoink you can put on any team. And I mean, if you're afraid of an alt in Tempered Edge that hurts because you can't beat it. If you need to still beat the hero stage for the sword, I mean, I proved that you can do it in like 9 turns instead of 30 something or whatever I did, 100 something. So I think he's A tier. You can use him in a number of places, and he can still be effective on most teams and be very effective on his own dark team. He's not as limited as Shinsha, but he's not S tier or godly. Which then leaves us the last unit, which is Milim, who is the best unit of this meta, hands down. I will hear no arguments. She has a full team-wide ult boost and a personal attack buff on the same skill, so she's a nuker. Her second skill is a special converter for greens, of which there's only one other one that does that, and that's Valentine, and she's an A tier because she's a healer and a converter. Her convert also costs 5 points less than Valentine. So, you put that all together. You put the ult, you put the attack buff, you put the orb changing, which, she can support any team. Any team, because she's ult boosting. That's not limited to anything. She gives herself an own attack boost, so if you need to nuke with her, she can do decent damage. And if you happen to be running a team that needs greens, she's got you covered there too. She is the most unrestricted unit of this meta. She fits anywhere. I mean, you don't have to use her on a team that runs greens either. Like, we've been bringing Wind Milim forever. We can now bring Water Shuna, for teams that run blues. And now we have an alt booster who runs greens, which means we just need a alt booster that runs oranges next, which I'm hoping that Fire 2.0 is orange because they have skipped it since Earth 1.0. So, I think that she is S tier, bordering on godly. Bordering on godly. I can hear arguments that she would move into godly. I need a bit more time. I think I'll move her up eventually, depending. But I think that she's fantastic. She's self-sufficient. She's a team-wide support, and she's a nuker. She's got a decent trait, giving skill points every 2 turns. So I think she is very useful for any player starting out. And if you love this meta, she is a necessary unit for this Dark 2.0 anniversary team. So that's that. I will probably move her into Godly next time I do this tier list for next month after the movie meta is over. So if you're upset that she's not in Godly, patience. If you have feelings about moving her up, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments what you think of my placement of Rimuru, Shinsha, Diablo, and the rest of the tier lists. I'm interested to see, because I know this anniversary has been pretty decisive. There's a very hard split line of people that like it and don't like it. So I want to hear your comments below. So let it rip. Try not to be too mean. Don't be mean to me. I didn't do this. I didn't make these units. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.